Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Space Game Junkie Podcast. I, as always, am your co-host, Brian, and joining me, as always, is your co-host, Jim.
Fidget spinners. Stuff. No. Whatever you do, don't go to your favorite porn site and search for fidget spinner, because you will find things you can't unsee.
Oh, dear.
Just saying.
Oh, dear. Also joining us is your co-host, Spaz.
Hello.
Sadly, Hunter is unable to join us this evening.
Fidget spinner injury.
I wonder if that's like, is
it
there
is.
Oh, really? Like,
I saw a guy that like cut himself with one.
How do you cut yourself? Do you have one with
they're
blades
not
on it?
all-
I mean,
Yeah, have you not seen the Batman one? It's
seen...
like it's a batarang.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
It's pointy. Yeah, and then they've got some that are just straight up ninja stars. It's like if you threw it, it would stick in the wall.
Oh, God.
So yeah, you could totally have some fidgety injuries. But now we don't have to worry about that because we can simulate it with Hand Simulator on Steam.
Yeah, that does not sound like a fidget spinner game when you tell me just the title.
It's like Surgeon Simulator, but with fidget things.
Well,
but you're supposed to become like a
gunfighter.
gunfighter.
Sounds like a game.
Well, yes, that's true. But I don't know. So that $100 barrier just really isn't keeping the trash out. I'm sorry, Gabe. It didn't work.
Sorry, I was typing something. So Hunter can't join us because he's still in the middle of a move, a big move. He showed us a video of his house, and it's got a Harry Potter closet, and it's got a kitchen big enough for an island, which I'm very jealous about. I would love a kitchen big enough with an island in it.
I would love an island with a kitchen on it.
Hopefully he can join us again soon. Hopefully. But folks, sadly, our guest for tonight had to cancel. His wife broke her hand, and so she's in.
They're dangerous.
God, killing me. His wife broke her hand, so she's in surgery today. So, of course he's there. I mean, come on. It was either that or he'd do a 6 a.m. show, and we weren't ready for that. So we're going to reschedule.
So what game was this for?
I don't want to say. I mean, that.
Say. Can you see?
It was the developer for The Long Journey Home, Andreas.
Okay.
And he's really nice. It's just this was like a last-minute cancellation because the broken hand threw his life out of whack, which is fair.
So did she break her hand on the terrible controls?
Oh God, come on.
For the lander, because really that's my point in the game.
I will admit that the controls
for the lander controls.
I will admit the controls to the lander took me by surprise as to how crazy difficult they were at first. Like, wow.
Yeah, it was very weird.
This might have flown in the 80s when gamers had patience, but now, no. No. I see what you're going for, man, but no.
Hey, I have a Steam question.
Sure.
For anyone that can answer this.
Okay.
Perhaps out in the gallery. Because I'm looking at Tangle Deep, right? And it's in the list of like recent releases. And yet there is no buy button. It still says coming soon, but it went into the released list. And I see this happen all the time with games where they show up in new releases and then they're still like coming soon and they might not come out for months. And it's like, what happened?
I can answer that.
Oh, please do.
Yeah. So the way this works is that when you actually make the store page live, it doesn't necessarily mean there's a buy button, but it means that the store page is live so that you can seed it with the videos and pictures that normally go onto that Steam page so that people can see all of that.
Yeah, but I never knew that counted as like new release, because it's not like whenever
right. It would be normally in the upcoming as well. But the thing is that for Tangle Deep, Brian and I both backed the campaign, and we actually have access to the current build,
which is
So
actually really good. Which is actually really
it's
fun.
a very good game.
Very fun.
So is it like today or yesterday or whenever it actually hit? Is that when the backers got their secret access to the Steam stuff? So it is
We've
released.
had it for
a couple weeks or
Oh,
two. Yeah.
So that doesn't serve as like a trigger because it's not.
It's not specifically a trigger, no. But the thing is that when you have a store page, you're building a store page. It's hidden to the community until you actually decide to submit it for publishing. And even when you do, that doesn't guarantee that you're putting it up for sale specifically. It just means it's there so that people can discover it.
But see, this is the thing though, is like why did it show up in the front page of like popular new games? Because
there's a lot of us actually playing it because we backed the campaign.
When did it show up in new releases? Because I'm looking at what's on Steam.com and I'm not seeing it.
Whenever I look at new and trending games on Steam, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth thing down. It's like Hand Simulator, Luniform, Super Flipside, Ragnarok, Hack Time, and Tangle Deep.
I'm gonna look.
I'm not on the front page. It's like under all products, games on Steam. Then this is new and trending.
Huh.
But I do see stuff that shows in the actual front page that it's like, oh gosh, I want that. Oh wait, there's no buy button.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know exactly how that.
Sometimes they don't even have a wish list button.
Yeah, sometimes I'll see games in the new release thing that aren't available to buy yet. Usually, that seems from what I've seen. Usually, that means like the developer marked it as Q1, and it's the end of Q1, so it just went up there, and it's like, oh no, it's not ready to go out yet. Whoops. Yeah, I have seen that happen a few times.
So a strange thing, I've never seen this happen with a game before, but I agree that they're doing it. I'm cool with that. So with Worlds Adrift, it's early access, but the purchase button only shows up for a very short time every now and then as they trickle new players in. Right. So it's like, oh, you can early access buy it now. Oh, now you can't. Right. Because they hit their cap of how many people they were going to let in. Which I just think is really interesting.
You can do that?
Apparently
oh my God.
so.
I didn't know that.
I've never seen anybody do that before. But the thing was, they only had so much server space to deal with the influx. And whenever they opened it the first time, they got so many people in there that there was like a 2-hour queue to get in the game, like on day one. It was, and there was like people that were trying to do like their YouTube, like, hey, let's play this and whatever, and they couldn't because it was just nothing but a queue. So
yeah,
I can see why they're throttling it.
I think D-Man is trying to give you an explanation in Steam chat as well. He says, just because the game is released doesn't mean the game is available. Sometimes just look at the game flashing lights. Sometimes there is a date when it really flashing lights. I don't know what that means. Sorry. I had a little problem there. Thank God for push to talk, huh?
Swallow a fly. I did that the other day, man.
God, that's the worst, isn't it?
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Worst. Yeah. So it was like, yeah.
It's so gross.
I'm vaping, right? Because I'm a hipster like that. and then like just in with that comes this gnat. And I was smoking like full inhale of the gnat. It wasn't like stuck in my mouth. It was like stuck to the back of my throat. And I'm like,
God.
Yeah, it was.
There's not enough water. There's not enough water.
You wouldn't think that such a almost microscopic gnat could do so much damage in such a short time, but it sure did.
It's like a bird hitting a jet engine.
Yeah, exactly.
It's exact.
So you know
go ahead.
when the army tests, you know, it's like they're going to test for bird strikes, right? And I heard this story, and this may not be true. In fact, I probably, let's assume that it's not true, but it's hilarious. So they have like basically a slingshot, and they fire chickens into the canopy of like a helicopter, right, to simulate like bird
What?
strikes, fire them into the engine stuff, and it's like, you know, it's not a live chicken, it's a dead chicken. And I've actually seen a helicopter that hit a buzzard out at Fort Hood, and it was super ugly because I had to help clean it. So bird strikes are no joke, right? But the thing was, like, new guy, and they told him like, okay, well, you know, load up the chicken in the chicken cannon and, you know, fire it. Apparently the chickens are frozen, and he didn't thaw the chicken first. And so when you fire a frozen chicken, it does multiple times more damage than you would anticipate. So that was just a story that I got when I was at Fort Eustis, was about the frozen chicken cannon.
Oh God.
Yeah. Because they actually had like the test rig there for doing the bird strike crap. And I was talking to the guy about it, and he's like, you know about the frozen chicken? No. So anyway, it's probably a BS story, but it was funny.
It kind of sounds like it. Like one of those tall tales they tell in the armed forces that I've heard tell of. So yeah, folks, since we don't have a guest, we thought we'd do a little bit of kind of a hodgepodge, kind of a potpourri, as I like to calling it. So we're going to do some news. We're going to talk about the games we're playing. And then we're going to talk about a topic that Jim came up with. Stories in space games and why most of them are crap. Because, let's be honest, most of them are crap. But first, we'll start with news. And I went back a few weeks. By the way, if you're not going to the blog, spacegamejunkie.com, I try and update it every day now, Monday through Friday, with news and whatnot. And rants and whatnot. So yeah, if you haven't gone to Elite, thanks, D-Man. If you haven't gone to spacegamejunkie.com in a while, please visit, because I write something every day now for you guys. Try and keep you updated with news and whatnot. So please visit. But so there's a bunch of news that's happened. The first big one is that Nave, the long time running open source escape velocity clone that went 2 years without an update until like a week ago, is now on Steam. It's still free, still absolutely free, still open source, but now it's okay, D-Man. I saw Elite and that's what got in my head, but now it's on Steam, so it's much easier for people to get. And if you haven't played it, it's pretty good. It's similar to Endless Sky, or you could say Endless Sky is similar to it. It's like a kind of an isometric, top-down space trading.
It's Elite 2D
combat. Yeah, that is.
It's
you
like,
know.
Remember old Escape Velocity Nova?
Sure.
Like
yeah. Yeah. Escape Velocity Nova. If you haven't played Escape Velocity Nova, play this instead. Because I think they still
or
charge.
You could play Or you could play 3030 Death War, which is the best of them.
Probably, yeah. I love Nave, don't get me wrong, but I think even though the perspective's a little different, I think I agree that out of these like adventure-y, top-down, non-roguelike, space adventure-y, escape velocity thingies, 3030 Death War Redux is probably the best of them, I think. Especially after they added the mouse controls for the turrets and stuff. Oh God!
You're welcome.
That changed everything.
No, seriously, I jumped on their Slack and I was
know.
like, dude, mouse controls.
Oh God! Remember Slack? Remember we used to use that?
Yeah, they still do. But
oh God!
But anyways, and then there's so this is a deal that we must discuss then, since we're talking about good 2D spacey games.
Sure.
Void Expanse.
Yeah,
it's in the bundle thing for like what, $1?
Well, yeah, the bundle is like $5. The bundle is like $5. It's the killer bundle at 10 or X on what is it, Bundle Stars?
Yeah, it's Bundle Stars.
Yes.
And it's still good for I think for a few more days. as we're recording this, and it's got
That
Void
game's-
Expanse.
They get normally like 20 something, and I
Void Expanse?
think
I don't
yeah.
remember. Hang on, I'll look. Hang on.
$15.
Oh, okay. So you're getting that and a bunch of other games for a fifth of the price. And the other
Yeah,
games in the bundle are not bad either.
You know, it's weird. For some reason, I'll have to read through the reviews and see why. Like all the reviews on the page here are blue thumbs, but it's got a mixed review right now. So
That doesn't
I don't
make
know
sense.
why.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe they offended somebody.
I got the expansion a little while back too, but I haven't had time to play it yet.
Oh, well, here's a critic. I was looking forward to this, and then I found out I'd have to rebind all the keys for Dvorak support. Thumbs down.
What?
It's like
Come
well, don't
on.
use a frickin' Vulcan keyboard then, and you'll be. No, it's Dvorak. I love it. It's great, but just go into it knowing that your keys are going to be in different places.
Yeah, this bundle,
normally
by the way, besides Void Expanse, is really great. You got the Flame and the Flood, which is $15 by itself. You have Warhammer 40k Regicide, which is basically chess. I might get the bundle for that alone, which is basically chess with Warhammer 40k characters. And a bunch of other
It would have been
games.
cool if they had an option to play straight up chess with 40k guys.
Isn't that what this is?
It
I think.
No, well, it's got its own rules, right? It's not legit chess. It's their version. So yeah.
Oh, I thought it was also. I thought you could also play chess.
Well, maybe you can, but I'm just saying if you can't, you should. So I don't know. I don't know that.
Yeah, maybe that's what they're calling. I thought that was what they're calling classic mode.
Oh, that might be.
It's got a lot of downward reviews though. That's the thing. There's so many Warhammer games that
Yeah, well, it's hit and miss. They
Yeah.
don't hand that license out to like sure winners. That's for sure.
Mm-mm.
They're kind of liberal with it, which on the one hand, it's cool because we get a variety of Warhammer property stuff,
and if
we
you
get a
love
steady
Warhammer,
flow of it.
and if you love Warhammer, that's great. Because for
Yeah.
a while we had a dearth of Warhammer games too for like a bunch of years.
Yeah, and then if you look in the mobile space, like you think there's a lot on the PC, it will triple that in mobile.
Yeah,
there's a lot. It was weird though. They had one game that was like a MOBA kind of thing for a while there. I haven't heard much out of that. It's like a League of Legends sort of deal, except with Warhammer guys.
Yeah, I actually got
strange.
I got a Warhammer game for my 3DS. It's like called Squad Command or something, I think. And it's really, really good.
Yeah, I heard that one was good.
It's so
'Cause
good.
It's like you're a space marine, right? Running
Yeah,
around.
yeah. But it's very XCOM-y and it's so good. It really reminded me of Incubation. Remember that? Remember that game?
Oh yeah.
Which
Game back in the day.
is a wonderful XCOM type game, by the way. If
Yeah.
no one's played it, I think you can get it on GOG now. I think.
Hey, speaking of incubation,
Yeah.
right? And there's that what's that game Black Cat made? It's free. It's like Aliens, top down, run around. I cannot think of the name of it. They just released like a big update thing for it. Infestation something.
I think so. That sounds about right.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about though. It's like a source engine mod. And
Yeah,
it's
we
like
played that a
playing
while
Aliens.
back, didn't we?
Yeah.
On a
Oh, it's
Thursday
good.
night.
Yeah.
It's very
So-
good.
So I ran across this YouTube video at random. Somebody made a first person mod for it. And oh boy, does that change the game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it turns into like some crazy space beast stuff. And yeah,
Ooh.
that's worth a revisit, perhaps. But
talking
anyway,
about Alien Swarm.
Yes,
thank you.
that's it. Yes.
Such a
Alien
literal
Swarm
title.
Reactive Drop. That's
Yes.
the one. Yeah.
Yeah, such a literal title, but so correct.
It's a good game. We should put that back in the rotation in the hat, so maybe we'll get it one week. So yeah, Void Knave came out. That's what we're got on the stream right now. Is me playing Knave from 2 years ago. Because that's when it last had a big update before like a week ago, and it's really good. It's got like a lot of usability updates that Escape Velocity never had. And they're still selling Escape Velocity Nova for like 30 some bucks. Last I looked. It's like, what? Wait, Zercher, I don't think there was an Incubation 2. Was there? Was there an Incubation 2?
Oh, there totally was.
What?
Yeah. And then the unexpected sequel, Spanish Incubation.
Wait, no, there was. Oh.
Nobody expects the Spanish Incubation.
I never knew Incubation 2 existed. No, it's only the first one. Time is running out. That's the only one.
Oh, really? I thought there was something. And then there was that game that Microsoft made that was like Starship Troopers.
Yeah, there is a Starship Troopers RTS, which apparently is really good. No, I've never played it.
This wasn't. Oh, I did. It was good. No, yeah, I'm not talking about the Starship Troopers official thing. It was like a Microsoft thing that it was power armor and bugs and stuff, but it was way primitive. It came out around the time Incubation. Actually, I had the purchase decision. I had like the one box in each hand, and it was like, which one do I get? Incubation. So.
You made the right call.
I never
there.
have played the other one.
You made the right call there because Incubation's fantastic. Yeah, if you get it's in the Battle Isle Platinum package on GOG, which oh god, includes like four Battle Isle games, including Incubation and 3 Battle Isle games. And the Battle Isle games are great, by the way, if you haven't played them. But Incubation especially is fantastic. So let's see. In the next piece of news, we had another game hit Steam, Race for the Galaxy, which apparently was a fairly popular board game.
Still is, yes.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I know nothing of board games. But oh, yes, the Wilderness Missions expansions, Zercher, for Incubation. Yes, I remember that. That's right. Okay, there was a... Yeah, thank you. You're right. You're right. So there was not an Incubation 2. Going back to that real quick. There was an expansion. And those were so hard. Oh, my God. Like, the base game was hard. Those were really hard. Anyway, Race for the Galaxy. I played a little bit of it. Do you like it, Spaz?
I've played a little bit of the physical game. Have to get the digital version to see whether or not it's holding up. But there's also other versions of it, like Roll for the Galaxy, which is dice-based. And it's in the same genre, but it is dice-based.
See, I seem to have a problem with card games is that it starts getting too much to keep track of all the cards and what they do and where they go and blah blah. That's why I don't really play them very often. That's why I like computer games, because it abstracts all that crap. You know.
I just like it when a computer game teaches me how to play a physical game.
That's
like,
cool.
Oh, I learned how to play this, and now I can actually go play it with people somewhere.
Right. Like, yeah,
that's kind of why I wanted to get the board game nights going, so I can help you guys do that transition.
That's how I learned to play chess. I played Chess Master, and like some chess game on my Palm Pilot that also kicked my ass, and that's how I learned to play chess. And I actually won a game against a guy once, not like a professional game, but like it felt really good.
Yeah, I used to play. There was a guy that I worked with. Like way back when I worked at the truck stop, like in the early 90s. And he was actually like a ranked chess master guy, right? That was like his talent, but apparently he couldn't monetize it because he worked at a truck stop. But anyway, he was like one of those chess club kids from high school, right? And then went on to like compete, nationally or whatever. He never got any fame, but he was, on the books, right? So I would play chess with this guy because we were on the same shift and we'd work night shift together. I would be staring at the board, sweating, trying to figure out what to do. He would not even look at the board. He would just call over his shoulder. He would just be like, all right, where'd you move? And then he'd just like call out a coordinates on the whatever it is, like knight to kings, bishop, whatever. I haven't done it in so long I can't remember how that works. But anyway, he would just like over his shoulder just be like, yeah, move this here. Checkmate again. It
because
was like
the good players have the board memorized, they have the layouts memorized, they know the progressions of when X moves here, then this is the next likely move. Therefore, they know what it's insane.
Yeah.
I used to play a lot of chess when I was a kid, and I even used to teach other kids how to play, but I was never tournament level ever.
Yeah, this guy was ridiculous. I like ran him into one of those games where it was kind of stalematey. It's like he could have got me, but we were just basically chasing each other around the board at that point. It was like one time, so I consider that a victory. But other than that, it was just like, no.
Right. All right, moving on. This is from Spaz. He pointed this out to us. The Oculus Rift it's on sale right now, right? It's on sale right now for $400.
Yeah.
For sorry. Do you want to throw this one out since this was
sure.
You
why
found
not?
it?
Yeah. So currently they're doing their Summer of Rift sale, and it's going for $400, and it's the bundle, which is great for those who want to say not buy the Vive for twice the price. On the other hand, they've announced that after the sale ends, the base price will now be $500. And what's interesting about that is in March, they dropped the price to $600. So this is the second price drop in the year.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure if that means that they're doing well and therefore they can drop the price because they're able to afford the loss, or if it's a sign that funding is not going well and they are trying to drop it in order to try to boost their numbers. I don't know.
Yeah, that is a bit. They're probably trying to compete with. Isn't the PlayStation VR around that price?
PSVR is $400 base price.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that you don't get the whole bundle though, like with the controllers and whatnot. I don't think.
No, but I think one thing that's making them maybe nervous about that is PSVR. It has a pretty large install base, right? And then at E3 they were showing off all that PSVR content that's coming, and also if you have Tridef or Trinus VR PSVR version, which is $10, right? So I own a PS4 and I got a PSVR because I can hook it up to the PC with a $10 driver and it works mint. It's just like a Rift. And in fact, Steam sees it as a Vive. That's how cool this driver is. So it's like if there's anything that's Vive on Steam that doesn't need the hand controllers, I can play it. No problem. And in fact, Steam's like, hey, you got a Vive, you want to use it? And just like fires it right up. So I think amazing. Yeah, they're seeing that and they're like, maybe drop the price.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that might be
or they're spending that lawsuit money from suing Bethesda over Carmack. I don't know.
That might be the VR I eventually get once I upgrade to be able to run one like next year. Is the PSVR, because it sounds really like the best headset you can get right now.
Well,
really.
I've worn a Vive and I've never had an Oculus on, but I've had like one of those like Chinese knockoff Oculuses, and it was like really heavy, sat very heavily on the bridge of my nose. Did not like being over my glasses. All these things. PSVR, just absolute comfort. Yeah, it's and the thing is the headset, it's actually like a halo that sits on top of your head, and then the actual face mask part slides in and out. It telescopes on a rail, so you can adjust it. And yeah, so
still
it's not
you can still wear your glasses basically.
Right, absolutely.
Wonderful.
Right.
which
And
is a consideration for me as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
absolutely. And also, if you want to see the keyboard or something, you just like nudge that thing forward so there's a little gap between your cheek and the rubber of it, and you can actually still glance down. So that eliminates my other problem of because a normal Oculus or a Vive is holding itself on your face by squeezing itself on your face,
Yeah.
and it's like wearing a scuba mask, and this other thing is just way leagues beyond that.
Yes. Okay. Papageno, this is Nave. This just came out on Steam. The video is a couple years old because I haven't played it since then. But just so you're asking, you can get this for free on Steam right now. It's great. So the next piece of news is that Interstellar Space Genesis, the game that was formerly Project Space Sector. Remember that one, guys? The site Space Sector decided they didn't want to be a site anymore, so they decided to make a game. And so now, instead of calling it Project Space Sector, they're calling it Interstellar Space Genesis. And you can pre-order that now for $25. And it's very, very, very heavily influenced by Master of Orion 2. I've got to play it a little bit. And it is indeed very, very heavily influenced by Master of Orion 2. I'm not sure yet this is a good thing, because 95% of the other 4Xs that are out there are influenced by Master of Orion 2. So, kind of getting Master of Orion 2 fatigue, I'll be honest with you. Oh, God. But yeah, if you want to give that a shot, you can get it on their website for $25. And I've been playing it. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's just, it's not their fault. I'm getting tired of all the Master of Orion 2 stuff. Like, Master of Orion 1 is better. Why can't more people copy that? Why is it just that one guy?
But that's the thing. If you look at, it's Civilization, Master of Orion, Master of Magic, Endless Legend also does this, where it's like you have pops, your little people, and you drag them between, am I doing research or farming or manufacturing with these people, and you shift them around. And I do not like that model. I mean, it works, right? And it's like good memories. It feels good for what it is. But I kind of like that Master of Orion 1 thing, where it's just like, hey, it's a planet. They make everything, right, in some ratio. So you just slide the slider.
Yeah. I love that.
And that's, yeah.
Like, I'm not a planetary governor. Let the governors deal with the minutia of which building to build where. I'm just going to be like, you're going to make factories, and you're going to make ships, and you're going to build defenses. And
okay, so it's like Earth, right? So quick, we have to shift all the population of Earth, right? Send out a memo. Tomorrow, everybody's a farmer. Go. Right?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. So, I mean, like a small colony kind of thing, even, you have to be sort of a rounded population to be sustainable at all. The only exception I would make to that, and I would like to see more of this in 4X games, is outpost things, right? Like, hey, let's just set up a mining outpost here. We don't have to colonize this thing. We're just going to put a factory on it and mine the shit out of it. And that, because I've unlocked the tech where I can colonize volcano planets. Who the hell would want to do that? Like, I don't want to live on that volcano mess from Star Wars. No, hell no. Like, who would live there, right? And it would maybe as a prison, but I could see like a mining colony or something, but it would never be like, oh, we populated this planet and we have billions of people living on the lava now. No. And also, orbital settlement.
If you could terraform enough to actually have a viable sort of thing, then that makes sense. But
Yeah, but I would like
Yeah.
to see terraforming handled differently too. I think terraforming should take like hundreds of years to,
For sure. Yeah.
because it's a thing. What was I seeing? There was somewhere. Oh, Aurora, right? I watched a dude doing a tutorial video of Aurora. After watching the tutorial, it's like I'm never gonna play Aurora, but I
Right?
enjoyed
Oh
the
my
tutorial,
God.
right?
Oh my
So the
God.
minutia that Aurora gets into, honest to God, uh, if you want to make a 4X game that's like a Master of Orion thing, go play Aurora, become a Master of Aurora, okay, and then make that shit playable for normal human beings, where it's not like a crazy spreadsheet and stuff. But it actually
God.
it goes down to the minutia of like you're going to terraform this planet, right? Let's say it's Mars, okay? So which of the gases do you have to put into the atmosphere in what ratio over hundreds of years to actually terraform the planet that to have a breathable atmosphere kind of thing. It's like, well, we need this percent nitrogen, this percent oxygen, and there's like ambient chlorine, so we have to come up with something to get that out of the atmosphere, or whatever, that kind of stuff, right? So it goes like way deep in the weeds with that stuff. But I really I love that exists. I just don't think that I can approach it. But if it was actually, I don't know, it would need something. It would almost need to be like Distant Worlds, where it's like it's there, it takes care of itself, unless I want to go in and fiddle with it.
That's
And
one
then I
reason.
can.
That's one reason I love Distant Worlds is because you have that option.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of Distant Worlds, I was catching up on the Three Moves Ahead podcast.
Yeah.
Just pimp somebody else's show. So they did an episode on Distant Worlds back in January, and I haven't listened to them in quite some time, so I missed it.
Oh no,
So
I did
I just
listen to that
noticed
one.
it today.
I did
Was it
listen
good?
to that one. Yeah, it was very good. It made
Oh,
me.
cool.
It made me happy. It made me quite happy.
I have
That's
a
good to hear.
I have a Distant Worlds question too.
Sure.
So whenever I go to the site, and I installed Distant Worlds again a couple weeks ago, and I wanted to put the Star Trek mod on it, and I see that there's like the version 1, and then they came out with a version 2, but the version 2's link went to like a Dropbox or something, and it's busted.
Oh,
So I'm wondering, like, nobody seems to have a mirror of version 2. So did something happen with that?
I honestly
Because
don't
I can still
know.
download version 1.
I honestly don't know. I mean, I don't play with mods really. I'm more than happy with the vanilla game. I think the last version I played, the Picard mod, was maybe 1.0 because I think I might have run into the same
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, that's the deal. It's the Picard era thing.
Yeah, the Picard era, which is a great mod. A great mod. But
and that's actually dovetails. I didn't plan this, but it dovetails spectacularly into our topic tonight. Because whenever I play that game, right, if I look at all these races, I have no idea what there's those fish guys. What are they about? Whatever.
they were
But
in
if you
that
show
one.
me Klingons or Romulans. No, I'm saying not even in Star Trek, right? The default vanilla races that are in there.
Right.
It's just like weird aliens, right? But you don't know nothing about them. You look at them and it's like, I don't know what that thing is. What they're like or whatever. But if you make it a Star Trek mod and it's like, oh, those are Romulans, I know what they're about, right? Because I know the lore from Star Trek or whatever. Or if it was a Star Wars mod, it's like, well, those are the Geonosians or whatever, the bug guys. It's like I know what they do. That's like an industrial bug culture, like Clacons or whatever, right? So yeah, like that. And that's the deal with the lore stuff, is like it seems like you have to draw off of something that's already a big established franchise so that people have any kind of grounding. Like fantasy, it's like I know what an elf is, I know what a dwarf is, right? So if you introduce some like invented race or something, then nobody knows what that is. So that's confusing. But if you stick to dwarves and elves, you're good, and you can do a lot of stuff with it. So it's basically like Klingons are the space dwarves or something,
Sort
the
of.
equivalent, right?
Yeah.
It's like you see a Klingon, you know what they're all about.
Yeah, everyone knows what a freaking Klingon is. At least they should at this point.
And if they don't, Klingons will teach.
And if they're listening to this podcast and they don't know, what the hell is wrong with you?
What are you listening to this for? Yeah. Go back to This American Life or Serial or whatever.
But that's why I wanted to play it with the Trek mod, is just so that I am immediately familiar with the personalities of whoever else is my neighbors.
That's
It's
fair.
like, oh yeah, I know what your traits are.
Yeah, that
So,
mod does a good job with Star Trek. I mean, like I said, I prefer the vanilla game, but if you gotta play with the mod, that's one of the better ones. I think there's a Mass Effect mod for it as well. I'm not 100% sure on that one. But anyway, yeah, Interstellar Space Genesis, another Master of Orion game. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be positive. I'm really trying. Okay, let's move on. Remember Halcyon 6? That kind of Zelda-y, Deep Space Nine-y game.
It's like Final Fantasy Space Edition.
Yeah. Final Fantasy, sorry. It's getting a free upgrade called the Lightspeed Edition.
Yay.
Yes.
It's going to have, like, apparently much quicker progression. Like, you can apparently play the whole game now in 10 to 12 hours. A lot more options for crew and for ships, all kinds of stuff. And it's going to be free for existing owners. And they're also going to have a sale, I think, in a couple of days. Like maybe when this goes, the MP3 of this goes live, I think on the 20th, they're going to have a sale. So you can buy in before you get the upgrade. And the upgrade looks sweet. Oh my God. And that was already a great game. If anyone...
Oh, definitely.
That was already a really good game. So it's really nice to see that the developers are generating a lot of goodwill, I think, by offering the upgrade for free. They didn't have to. They could have sold it as a different SKU, you know, as a different SKU, and we'd all been mad. But nope, getting it for free. That's really great. So guys, if you haven't played Halcyon 6 yet, get it on the sale, and then get the Lightspeed Edition when it comes out. August 10th, I think, early next month. And yeah, that is going to be great. So let's see what else we got here.
Oh, I heard, gosh, what is the name of that other Master of Orion clone that they're making? The guys that did the Battlestar Galactica mod for Free Space. And I cannot remember the name of their game.
Oh, God.
You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I do, but I can't remember the name. Oh.
Yeah, it's like Galactic Void Space.
It's gonna come back to me at 3 a.m. I'm gonna wake up to go to the bathroom and be like, oh,
there's too many games, man. I can't remember all these names.
Especially, I love 4X games. Don't get me wrong, but there are just so many right now. There's too many. Like just in the last few months, we've had what? Endless Space 2, Stars and Shadow. There was another one. I know there was another one. God damn it.
There is a little bit of overload on that.
There is.
There's a lot.
And
it's been a bad year for it.
Oh.
Like this last 12 months has been
so much.
Because oh yeah, man. I mean, we had Star Ruler 2 and Stellaris and Endless Space 2.
Right.
And
Stars and Shadow and
Shadow.
God.
Yeah, so many.
There were
so
more. I just can't remember them.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm glad these guys are doing something different, and I'm sad they shut the Space Sector site down, because that was a great site. They started years before I did. But I'm kind of sad they shut that blog down. But I wish them the best of luck in their endeavor. Maybe they will make the best Master of Orion 2.0 or whatever. I don't know. Just why does everyone want to copy that game? You know, it is tough though, because when you try and do something different, it could fail miserably. Like, has anyone played Pax Imperia 2? Eminent Domain?
Played Master 3.
Or that. But Pax Imperia 2 tried to be something different. Not that great. But then
maybe that's the deal. Like Master of Orion 3 scared the shit out of everybody.
You know what?
Even the champion can fall if they just
That's
touch
a good
that formula.
point. That's a good point. That's a really good point. It's a little scary. Hello. Oh, we got some new people in the chat. Hello, everyone. Moving on to the next piece of news. Got a couple more left. I usually don't bring up patches because, it's not big news. But for Ivorian, it's big news. They just got a big update that not only fully bakes alliances into the game, but makes them co-op. So now you can have full-on multiplayer co-op alliances with your friends in Ivorian.
Reinstalling right now.
Yeah.
So did they fix the deal with being able to just like robo-mine all the resources out of the starting sector?
I think that was in a previous patch. I think. I'm not 100%. There were a lot of patches that led up to this one. They didn't just go from like 0 to 60. But I think that might have been in a previous patch. Oh, let's see. Hannibal wants to know, have there been any Mu 2 clones that have been successful? Oh, bye, D-Man. Thanks for hanging out. Wasn't there something? I mean, I guess the Master of Orion redo did fairly well, didn't it?
Yeah, it did okay.
I think.
Like, I don't think anybody was like, okay, let's say it this way. The people who were like hardcore Master of Orion fans were like, yeah, it's good enough, right? They weren't like super stoked.
No.
But I think that people who are coming into the genre,
it's a great first 4X. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like to call it I like to call it Baby's First 4X because it's a great intro to the genre. Really
absolutely.
Great.
Because it just kind of eases you in, and it's got races. Well, see, this is the thing too that makes Master of Orion a classic thing, is because those races that are in there, like I was saying about like Star Trek and whatever, it's like, okay, a Klingon's a Klingon, a Romulan's a Romulan, everybody knows what that is. But if you throw like some weird fish bug gas cloud something alien in front of me,
right,
and it's like, what the hell is that? I don't know. What are they like? Who knows, right? It'd just be like roll some random alien up in Stellaris, which I honestly I kind of wish Stellaris did. It doesn't do that, does it? It just be like, just generate some random aliens. I have no idea what's going to be out there. I think it just like picks from a shopping list that it's got. But anyways, I look at that and I have no idea. However, the Master of Orion races, right? It's like, okay, the bugs are the industry guys, right? Because, it's like worker ants kind of thing, right? And then whenever you look at the Darkon guys, right? Obviously they're spies. It's like these shadow dudes. The bears, well, obviously they're going to be tough fighters. It's like, okay, they're kind of iconic because the anthropomorphic animal stuff that they chose. It's like, those are animals from Earth. We know what they're like. So these races have those attributes, as opposed to like some weird tentacled thing with eye stalks.
Yeah, the Ninja Space Bears or the Samurai Space Bears from Star Drive 2, probably one of the best races. Probably the best thing about that game. Really,
it's the thing I remember most about
that
game.
No,
exactly.
The best thing about Star Drive 2 is the plant guys, who the other races, that there's like an event that comes up where other races find out that those plants are smokable and get you real high. So now there's like a drug trade in the corpses of your people. And
oh wow, what?
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah, that's why the plants are like stoners or whatever. They're totally like space pot is what those things are. Like, Dan puts so much funny shit in that game, and you just have to dig a little bit, and
that is pretty funny.
It's all this wink and nudge stuff that's in there.
Yeah, that is pretty funny, actually.
Some of the heroes are hilarious too. It's honestly, I think Star Drive 2 of all the 4X games, and people were like, well, the diplomacy is terrible, whatever.
Yeah.
Right. Because that game is not a game about, let's see if we can coexist. Well, I'm going to play the pacifist race, or I'm going to whatever. No. This is Battle Royale, last race standing. Everybody's going to fight, right? It's like playing Player Unknown's Battlegrounds, right? It's like 100 people drop in. There's going to be one that walks out. We know what the game is, right? So that's why whenever I play that game, I don't try to like diplomacy about, and he has changed this in the expansion. There's a little more diplomacy stuff where you can just kind of hold off the inevitable. You can have a little bit of a peaceful thing with the other races that tend toward pacifism. You can do that. If you run into the Chuck, you better have a fleet, because the Chuck are coming, right? It's like, God, I hate running into the Chuck, because at that point I know the war is on. As soon as they know where I'm at, they're building a fleet to invade me, and they might talk nice, right? Which is one of the funny things, right? The Chuck will be in there like shit talking, like, oh, we're gonna be the best of friends, and then they just come roll you over. And but it's gonna happen, right? So once you play it a few times, then you just know it's just like turn one, start preparing for war, and you'll be all right. But my problem in these games, and I had this happen in Endless Legend last weekend. I played a marathon of Endless Legend, and I built up I had a fairly sizable army. I had like 4 cities going. I ran into the cult, right? And the cult only has 1 city, which is, I find after I read a little bit, that's the attribute of their race. They only get 1 city. But I was looking at it and I'm like, this chump's only got 1 city. He keeps talking shit, right? It's like, we'll make a peace treaty and then he'll close his borders, and then he starts smack talking me. And then I'll like trade some stuff with him, and then we get like the trade routes open again, and then he'll slam the borders and shit talk me again. And it's like, okay, I'm tired of this guy. I got a big army. I had like Titans in my army, and it's just like, I'm gonna go down there and just roll this dude, because I haven't seen him march an army out of that city the whole game.
Oh,
right?
boy.
He's not doing anything.
I think I know where this is going. Is going.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, we're like 200 turns into the game, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm just like, I got like 4 or 5 cities. I'm cranking out stuff. It's like, I got more stuff than I can spend, right? It's the only thing holding me back is just build queue time, right? Because I got plenty of everything. And I decided to get cute, right? And I took an army and I attacked like around the backside of his city. And I got 1 hex away from there. He saw what I was going to do, apparently, like, I'm coming for him. And as soon as I got 1 hex away from his city, I saw a stack come out of his city and make a beeline for mine. And it was like the Death Star. He sent so much shit. It was, and my city just like, I had, like a city full of defenders. I didn't leave it completely undefended to go over there. But he rolled that city instantly. It was like, sometimes fights will go on multiple turns as you have attrition. Nope. It was just steamroller. And then that Doomstack like ran to the next city. And I thought, okay, this is my chance, right? His whole army has to be over that. It has to be all this shit.
Oh no.
And I hit that city and he just like incinerated my guys. Like, and I'm just like, well, I better go back to the drawing board to learn how to play this game, because that didn't work. But that happens to me like every time in 4X games. It's like, I'm confident, like, dude, I have got an army here. And then I just get destroyed. And it's like, oh, okay. I do all right in like Endless Space 1. I'm cool there. But Endless Legend, I have yet to win a game.
Yeah, it's a good game, that one. It's probably my favorite Amplitude game. Besides Dungeon of the Endless.
Oh, we love Dungeon of the Endless.
Oh, hell yeah.
So here's another thing, like our topic tonight, right? So Endless Legend, Endless Space.
They
right?
do a pretty good job of building lore. Yeah.
Yeah, they do a wicked good job of building lore in that. And it's kind of like, I like their races. They're not super generic, right? It's like in Endless Space 2, they've got the, like the treants, basically. They're these tree dudes, and all the different races. I think like the big thing that separates them is they all colonize differently. But the tree guys actually have to, it reminds me of like Jace and the Wheeled Warriors. Remember that cartoon where they had like
Love
space
that
lines?
Cartoon.
Yeah, that's kind of what's going
cartoon.
on here. If you're playing the tree dudes, you actually have to like grow vines in between the planets, and then your people like migrate. but it takes turns to grow the infrastructure between the planets. It's like a bridge, right? And then you do it. And yeah, so those are the only dudes that I've played. I played a half game with the Horatio, which is also awesome because it's like this crazy dude who got a cloning chamber and just decided, I'm going to make a race of me. And everybody is Horatio, billions of Horatio. And which makes me wonder, like, how would that work out if they're all like a narcissistic megalomaniac? Wouldn't everybody want to be king? Like, how could he let himself rule, but not himself? Right? I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, that game's interesting for the lore reasons, and I find myself drawn into games that have a cool story a lot more so than it's just like, oh, the gameplay is really cool. Right?
It is kind of,
it's like, if there's something that engages me about the setting, then I'm really there.
it's kind of tough though, because a lot of developers like, ooh, we want emergent gameplay. We want the player to make their own story. But you're not going to appeal to players who want a story told to them. So how do you walk that line between having like enough emergent gameplay and agency that you can have your own story, but still have enough lore and in the universe, I guess, to be really engaging? You know what I mean? Like Drox Operative,
I think Amplitude
for example.
has that nailed, though.
They do.
Amplitude actually has that nailed because they use their games together feedback system where
That's
the
true.
players help determine the direction the story goes in. So
Right.
by doing that, it's not just, oh, well, we're just going to plop this down and say, this is your story. They're working with the community to make that story work.
Yeah,
and isn't one of the races like completely community built?
I think so. Also,
yeah, there's a Kickstarter reward for that.
well, also
Designing.
all their games are in a shared universe, which is pretty unique. I mean, they have 3 different styles of games. You know, they have a fantasy. I guess they have 2 different styles, but a fantasy 4X, a space 4X, and a roguelike, really. But they're all in the same universe. That's really clever. But it also helps with story building.
Well, as I understand it, okay, so there was like Endless Space 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the middle of that war, the ship crashed on that planet Auriga, right? And then Dungeon of the Endless is the crash, right? Like the people trying to get out. And then Endless Legend is like, I don't know, thousands of years later, whenever the people that crashed on the planet have settled it. And then you're trying to get the hell off the planet because like crazy ice age is coming. But they're all like super primitive. Well, they're primitive, but with technology that can be mistaken for magic, basically. Oh yeah, and that's it. The cult in the guys that steamrollered me, that was actually a player design faction. That's why I knew about that. I was reading about the cult because they killed me so bad. I was like, what the hell are these things? And turns out they were actually something the community made up.
I'm trying to find out when in like the timeline Endless Legend and Endless Space fits into. I thought it was before the Endless Space games. You know, I thought like Endless Legend was like a prequel. But I could be wrong. I'm
not sure what order it happened in. I know they're out of order. The order that they released in is not the order they happened in.
Right. It's not chronologically ordered that way. But it works in terms of the story though, because they're all happening within that universe.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's the secret of success though. You put out a bitchin' good space game like a 4X, and then you drop a roguelike with the people from the 4X in it, because very, very much so, Sword of the Stars, right? The Pit, which saved their bacon. Wow, what a good game! I need to play that more. That's in my top roguelikes, and it's just because it does everything right.
It's so good. It's so good. It's so hard. And it's so good.
And it proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that Martin can sell me DLC forever. If Yeah, because there's
If
so
it's
much
the same
deal.
quality, yeah, hell yeah.
Martin, what's his last name? Curtis?
Cyrillus.
Curlis?
Cyrillus.
Cyrillus?
Yeah.
Yeah. Specifically
Why
Martin
so
Cyrillus
Cyrillus?
of, what's the name of their studio? Kerberos. Who made that game. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just-
which we need to have him on again because I need another belly laugh like the Roomba licking.
We'll be like, what do you think of Homeworld now Emergence being on GOG? Which I guess is another piece of news, I guess.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I do have to ask him about that. That's the thing, right? They finally came out with Don't Call It Cataclysm.
But it's not remastered like the other games. It's just the base game. But that's all you. Yeah, it's sad, but that's all you need because it's so good. That one.
Yeah. So I wonder because the story with that was like the source code is gone. Nobody has the assets, all that stuff, and that's a big part of why it was not getting into the remastered HD thing. But what did GOG do with it? Do you own it? Did you buy it yet? Have you played it? Like, I don't know. Did they change anything?
I have not bought it.
They
from
made the
them
installer
yet.
work.
I have not bought it from them yet. I'm
Yeah.
kind of on a game buying freeze until the wedding.
Yeah, after the Steam sale, it was brutal.
That too.
And
but,
yeah, of course, the wedding. But
yeah.
yeah, every time there's a Steam sale, I'm just like, I own everything on Steam. This
Just
sale
about.
cannot touch me.
And then I find like 10 games, like, oh, that's 90% off, and it's got good reviews. I'll get that. Was that? Whoa.
Because I own everything. Oh God.
Lost you.
There's so much stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that is one of the things, like, you know, with Steam sales, they've taken away the flash sales, and now we own everything. So it's like, okay,
well,
where's...
They took away the flash sales because they added the option for refunds.
The refunds. Yeah.
Really? Is that the deal? Because
that was the reason why they removed it, is because it makes sense. If you put a flash sale on, people are going to wait for a flash sale, and then they might buy something at 50% off, and the flash sale comes an hour later and it's 80% off, and then they got to go through the whole refund process, you know, because people are upset that, you know, they didn't hit the flash sale at the time it happened.
Well, yeah, or you just make a rule that refunds only process after the last day of the Steam sale.
Well, in this case, it actually makes sense. They got rid of the flash sales because they were adding refunds.
Oh, I totally understand that. To me, it was like the timing was the guy that used to be their marketing research dude that was there. He was like their economist on staff, right? And I thought it was like him, because those sales were almost like lab experiment psychology manipulation games that they would do to people, right? It's just like, let's manipulate these millions of people and see what behaviors emerge in our store. And then that guy, it was like as Greece like slid into the shitter economically, and he left Steam and went back to Greece and became the Minister of Finance of Greece for a while. He's not anymore, but for a couple of years. Yeah. So that guy was like, you know, you don't just like stroll into the country and become the Minister of Finance. Clearly he was like some kind of like finance genius or something. And then, but he was working for Gabe, and he's the guy, I think, that was turning the knobs on all those Steam sales and just, you know, because Steam, think about it, like the Steam survey, all this play data that they have, everything that they collect about everything that you do with Steam, that data is going somewhere, right? And if you think about the Steam sales themselves, that generated a hell of a lot of data just about how people are, right? Like at what price did people tip? You know, like how many people bought it, and then, you know, it was like, okay, it was like 75% off. How many sales did we get? And then we dipped it for a little bit to 90%. Like how many people fell then, and all those little things. And I'm sure that data is somewhere, and it's valuable, right? Like I bet a marketing firm would kill to have all that.
Well, you know, we don't have access on dev side. We don't have access to all of that data, but we definitely have access to some of it. Like on X day, this many of that particular DLC were purchased. We can see where those spikes are, what the change from the previous week are. We can see all of that, but not necessarily time of day. So if there is a flash sale going on, we wouldn't have known. We would have seen the spike for the day, but they don't give us all that data.
That's kind of a shame that they don't. But yeah.
Well, they can't reveal everything behind the curtain.
Right,
I mean,
of course they can't.
Because otherwise people might try to manipulate how they do their own sales just to game the system a little bit.
Right. All right, let's wrap up the news. Couple just
I do have one thing I want to mention real quick.
Go.
There's a game coming out next week. Now, if you guys are familiar with Behold Studios, they made the Knights of Pen and Paper games, and they've got a new one, a space game coming out next week called Galaxy of Pen and Paper. And it is I just tossed it into stream chat.
Is that going to be like red shirts of pen and paper?
Well, it's a space RPG set in 1999.
Interesting.
As in real world 1999, as the players are playing the game. But you've got spaceship combat, you've got on foot combat, you've got exploration, you got fun stuff, it looks like. And I've liked the stuff from Behold Studios, so I'm definitely getting this one.
Yeah, what I like about them is they're tongue-in-cheek about it. I mean, they obviously they take the game seriously, but the game is also it calls back to the goofiness of sitting around the kitchen table, you know, rolling dice, fighting monster stuff.
Yeah, lots of fourth wall breaking because, well, the game master is talking to you, the player, so of course there's going to be fourth wall breaking.
Right.
And
it's like whoever sat around the table and stayed in character, right? It was just like the goofy stuff came out. So I enjoy that kind of, they sort of sell.
Ooh.
New little things here and there.
Yeah, I'm watching that video that you put up there, and it's exactly like that in tone too.
We lost you for a minute, Jim. I don't know if that new headset
is
being problematic.
I don't know. No, I'm just watching the video that Spaz put up of that, and it's just like, yeah, it's like right on tone with all those things. It's like all the talk around the table.
I'll have to get in touch with him because this looks really good, actually. But just couple final pieces of news. J.G. Hertzler, or Deep Space Nine fans know him as Martok, is actually going to be in Star Trek Online.
Is he gonna bring his eyes?
Just the one, because Martok is somehow back. Apparently, in the extended universe, Martok disappeared shortly after the end of Deep Space Nine, and was thought dead.
Well, Martok's the guy with the ping pong ball eyes, right?
No, that's Gowron. That's Gowron.
Oh, that's Gowron. Okay, never mind.
He does. The one scene in Where the Warrior, where he's like, "We do not forgive, big eyes, or forget." It's like, yeah, that's why they hired you. You got those freaking eyes.
Absolutely.
But no,
I mean, really, that's the only thing I remember about Deep Space Nine was that dude. And
he started on Next Gen.
Hilarious.
He started on Next Gen. Yeah, he was made Chancellor on Next Gen, and he of course carried over. But Martok actually like adopted Worf into his house eventually, and oversaw their wedding and whatnot. So great character, and somehow he's back in Star Trek Online. No idea how, but if you love Martok, I guess play some Star Trek Online. I'm not gonna. But if you want to, go ahead. Speaking of Star Trek, because you wanted to talk about lore, let's jump into our topic. Why? I'll just hit you with this question to start things off. Why do you think coming up with good lore and background for a game that isn't based in a popular universe like Star Trek, Star Wars, what have you, Dune, is so apparently difficult.
I think that it's a reluctance of like, well, we don't want to embrace, like, okay. So much like Master of Orion, they use anthropomorphic versions of common animals that we know, right? So a lot of space things will tell stories where it's like, okay, well, it's the space empire, but it's really the Romans.
Okay.
There's the evil empire. Well, it's kind of space Nazis, right? Because you know about Nazis. So it's like, let's take something that's culturally uh, like familiar, and then we sci-fi it, but it's still something that is grounded in some Earth history that people are experienced with, so we know what to make of it, kind of thing. Um, Whereas if you did, well, I don't know, man. Like Dune was a pretty interesting departure from that, because and maybe that's why Dune is so fun to read, is because it's kind of like you think learning this new world, and it's very interesting because it's something that you don't know. But I don't know, like in a space game, it's really hard to like drag people into some kind of new lore, also while making interesting gameplay. And it's a pretty huge job. It's like how long of research he did. The dude that wrote Dune, I was listening to
Frank
Comic Book Girl
Frank.
19. Yeah, Frank Herbert.
Yeah.
She Comic Book Girl 19's doing a series where she actually like it's like her book club thing, where it's like, okay, read up to chapter 5, and then we're going to do a podcast and talk about the book from chapter 1 to 5 and what happened, and deep dive. And okay, now read up to chapter 10, and we're going to do it. You got a week, right? So I'm greatly enjoying that series that she's doing, because she is super into Dune and knows her stuff. So it's interesting. But I mean, there's historical parallels and stuff there. And I mean, it's humanity, right? But it's humanity almost like Warhammer 40,000. It's humanity so far in the future that they're still humans, but they're not really recognized.
Oh man, Jim, your mic keeps cutting out.
2,000 years out from the Romans. They're like, I don't know, 20,000 years out or something, right? So it's like, but they some of the words and things that are in there, that like, where he named like the Bene Gesserit stuff, right? Like if you look up what those words actually mean, right, then it's like it has context now, but they flip stuff over on its head, right? Where it's yeah, it's kind of like he took a lot of common Earth things and then inverted them and named them similar.
Oh man.
Um, but it's still it dances with the familiar. It just twists it, right? So I don't know. I mean, it's tough to make a greenfield space opera thing that is not rooted in the history of humanity. Although I think Mass Effect did a bitchin' job of that, and that's why I keep going back to Mass Effect is because that is a galaxy that I want more of. Unfortunately,
Oh man, Jim, your mic keeps cutting out.
is it's like you guys went to this new galaxy, and it's the same old shit. Like, but it's not as good, right? Because all the stuff that I cared about is still back there, and these new people that resemble that back there, but it's not them. I don't really care. It's like, yeah. So, but the relationship that I got with the first 3 games is something that, like, somebody asks like, hey man, what went on in Mass Effect? It's like, sit down, you got a couple hours, I can tell you what went on in Mass Effect.
Yeah, I feel
So
the same.
that
Yeah, sorry. I feel the same way about the free space and Starflight universes. Like, those are really well established, I think, well written universes, I think. That just totally
Yeah,
suck
and
you
it
in.
didn't. Yeah, and it actually kind of departed from
Oh no. Jim?
uh
Jim.
FASA whenever they did Renegade Legion Interceptor,
Which I still
right?
have
It
to
was
play.
yeah, well, but I mean even the board game, right? And then so it was Renegade Legion was the spaceship stuff, and then Centurion was the tanks, right? And they're excellent games. I kind of complicated, but I liked how they did their armor systems and stuff. Very unique. But yeah, it was straight up space Romans, like the architecture and everything, and they didn't disguise it at all. It was just like, yeah, these are space Romans here, and okay. But then again, whenever you say Empire, like, what do people think of? Well, it's either Star Wars Empire or the Romans. So I guess 50-50 chance of being right, right?
Right. Star
But
Crusader.
now,
Sorry. I was going to say
oh
Star
well,
Crusader is also pretty much Romans in space.
yeah, that's true. Although Star Crusader,
Oh, man. Jim? Jim, can you hear me? Jim?
it was
Jim,
goofy.
can you?
Yep.
Okay. You are cutting in and out like a
Oh,
mother
it might be
forker.
this keyboard.
Are you doing push to
Actually,
talk? Are you doing push to
yeah,
talk? Oh, I don't know,
yes.
because you are cutting in and out like the Dickens.
Oh, well, maybe it's the keyboard
I
or
hope.
my internet or
I
God
don't
knows
know.
what. Yeah.
I don't know, because we're getting maybe 40% of what you're saying. It's like a bad cell
Oh,
phone call. It's very frustrating.
Can you hear us now?
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, I'll watch Discord and see if
Let
I'm like
Yeah, let me try
not
and move near.
transmitting or
Let me try
something
and
in
move
here.
near the window. So please repeat what you just said because we only got part of it.
I have no idea what I was talking about.
Okay,
What?
Romans
Oh,
in
the
space.
space Romans,
Space
basically,
Roman.
yeah,
Yeah,
space.
yeah, space Romans.
So it's like it's difficult to deviate from that kind of thing, but um, so there's like all this fandom that goes on with Star Wars and Star Trek, right? Where if somebody's talking about, hey, we're going to make a fan film sci-fi thing, it's like, oh, Star Wars or Star Trek, which one, right? And then of course with CBS like crushing any kind of Star Trek stuff, that's becoming a problem. That's under a lot of pressure, right? But that's still like the universe people are fascinated with, because if you don't want to make some swashbuckling Star Wars stuff, which I honestly I feel like Star Wars is just tapped out. That whole like Jedi saga thing, it's like you can just tell more of the same old shit. But really, I would like to see the rest of the Star Wars universe. Like, get away from the Skywalkers, right? I want to just see just other stuff, right? Because
Agreed.
there's yeah, but they won't do it because it's like the Skywalker story. That's the Jedi's and stuff, and it's like, yeah, well, okay. So Star Wars Galaxies, right?
Yeah.
It dared to not have Jedi, right? Well, it made there were Jedi, but they were like a super turbo bitch to become one. You are a real person in that setting. You're never going to see a Jedi. Those guys are gone, right? So, and that's cool. That's appropriate, especially for that time period. Um, Unfortunate thing though, it's like in the prequels, it was like there are Jedi around, right? And it's like,
Oh man, we're losing you again. Oh no. Oh
and
gosh.
then,
Oh
and
gosh.
then like 20 years later, nobody remembers the Jedi, right? It's like, what happened? Oh yes, the Jedi, that crazy old religion from ancient times 20 years ago when there were thousands of them. Yeah, whatever. That's another reason the prequels kind of shat on everything. But I don't know, man. It's like Star Trek seems to be where it's at, right? If you're gonna do something spacey that is familiar to people, but CBS is like murdering anything that sticks its head up with a Star Trek hat on. So
yeah, which is why Renegades had to, well, change so much of it in order to be able to release.
yeah. So what's this fan universe that's going on? Because I've heard people talk about that, where it's like some of the people that were doing the fan fiction stuff, they're basically making that open Trek thing that I was talking about under some other name.
I don't
But
know.
it's essentially that. It's open source Star Trek. It's just like, we're not going to call it, the things that we're not allowed to call it, but we're going to come up with our own thing and still tell these stories in a similar universe, just not the copyrighted universe.
Isn't that what that show from God, the Family Guy?
No, that's
Oracle,
gonna,
that's a separate thing entirely.
Right,
yeah,
but
that's
it's
just
Star
straight
Trek.
farce.
But it's Star Trek like. It's. Ooh. Oh no. Am I the one losing people?
I'm keeping my eye on it.
Oh, did I lose you, Spaz? Were you talking and I just didn't hear you at all?
Yeah, maybe it's your internet, because I'm definitely not cutting out. I'm watching the light stays green. So maybe it's the internet shit again.
It's possible.
Well, it is Tuesday.
It is Tuesday. We haven't dropped any frames. Oh, we dropped 39 frames out of this entire almost hour and a half show. So that's not too bad. But yeah, maybe it's Discord tonight. Yeah, because Spaz, you just cut out there for a bit.
Yeah.
Have I cut out for you guys? Sorry we're doing this live, but
yeah.
I mean, that's the...
Yeah,
that's
you have a couple of times.
Oh, geez. It's probably me then. That's the downside, but I'm not getting any issues either. I've been looking at Discord and still green. The ping is, what is it? 43. Oh, my.
Yeah, the ping's good, but every now and then you start talking in the middle of a word kind of thing. So,
well, that's because you cut out, so I'm trying to get your attention. So I think
I mean, what that last sentence that you just started was like in the middle of a word. Like
what?
Before I started saying
for
that.
God's sakes. All right,
anyway,
we're having
just
some
let's not
issues.
sweat it.
Sorry.
It's not like we have like a superpower guest on.
I know, but sorry, folks. We seem to be having some mild technical issues that is out of anyone's control this evening, apparently.
Yeah. So the reason that this came to mind, right, is I've been playing through Witcher 3 again, and Witcher 3 is so dense of a story, and it's characters that you actually care about, and I'm having like another Mass Effect experience with this, right? But even more profound than Mass Effect. It's like, I like these people. I want to hang out with them in this game. I'm going to be sad when it's over, kind of thing, right? So it.
Oh, doing it again.
Is it because Tolkien-y elves and stuff? Like, if you think about it, everything that's a fantasy property that has elves and dwarves and stuff, if you didn't have Lord of the Rings, none of that shit exists, right? It's like, because Tolkien kind of did like Frank Herbert did with Dune, right? Where he took a whole bunch of stuff that was ambient in the culture and then brought it into a coherent universe.
Well, bear in mind that the Witcher series is based off of the book series.
Right. Oh, I know. But it's just the thing of like, they're drawing it from the books, and the books are super cool. So, but I can't even think of like sci-fi books other than the Star Trek, Star Wars-y things, or movies or whatever that aren't like how all fantasy stuff is derivative of Tolkien. It's like all sci-fi is somehow derivative of Trek or Wars in some way, or tries to do an original thing, but is short run and low impact, right? It doesn't become like a sensation. It's like the show that's on right now, The Expanse, right? Awesome. but I couldn't tell you about the lore of the Expanse or anything. It's like it's great in the moment when I'm watching it, but I'm not like super into the backstory or whatever.
Oh, you should read the books though. The books
Yeah.
are so good. Oh my god.
But I think it strikes me as a thing of like, these are just people, right? Like the technology is more advanced and maybe the political situation is a little bit different, but these are the same people that I know, right? It's the same schemes and crap that, so it does, it's just like, it's today's headlines in space kind of thing, right? It's the things that we talk about now, right? Exploitation of people and governments screwing around behind the scenes and things like that. But I don't know. To me, it doesn't have like the great drama to it. Like it's not like, well, two kingdoms went to war. It's more like, well, Mars is getting lippy, you know. I don't know. It doesn't have the same majesty to it as like in a fantasy setting where it's like, well, you know, this great kingdom is going to go to war against that kingdom or something. It's like that feels bigger to me, you know, like in a game.
Oh man.
Maybe. Huh?
BattleTech.
Yeah. Well, you know, yeah, BattleTech is kind of epic in that way, right? Because it's like you have the great houses. I think it's kind of borrowed from Dune in that way. I liked the original setup was actually over water. You know, it was like ice and stuff, and there was like a shortage of water on the planets, and it was all about like water rights, like who got the ice kind of thing. And then it turned into like other stuff, but it was like the recovery period, like after all the wars had basically lost all the technology for everybody. There we were just kind of coming out of a dark age, and people could. Jordan did it, but they brought the clans in and that whole thing, and that
you know,
that
back
didn't do
in
it for me.
the 3025 setting, there was the fact that the mech suits were actually treated like heraldry and suits of armor. That
Yeah, they were knights.
they were knights of the battlefield. The father would then turn his armor over to one of his kids, and they would carry on their tradition.
Yeah.
I missed everything you guys just talked about.
Yeah, but we hear each other fine.
That is
So
so
it's you.
freaking weird. It must be me somehow. But I'm
You,
not,
bro.
but it's so weird. Because I'm not getting any indication that there's a problem on this end. You know?
Now I'm literally watching the lights light up on the Discord, and I can see that I'm supposedly talking, and I'm not sure if you're even hearing me. But
Yeah,
hey,
I haven't
up.
heard. I have not heard you break yet. So, yep. I'm blaming Brian.
Yeah, I
Let's
don't know.
blame California.
Fine, but yeah, blame me, but I don't even know what to do about it. It's so frustrating because this is a great conversation, but I'm only hearing like 50% of it. It's so frustrating.
But anyway, yeah, so that was the initial the impetus for that conversation was just basically like I'm playing The Witcher and I'm like stuff that's this deep and good in sci-fi is rare unless it comes out of Star Trek, Star Wars. But even The Witcher stuff is kind of Tolkien derivative, but it's got the influence of also pulling in like all the Polish the folklore, right? So it's all that Eastern Europe stuff that you didn't get in Tolkien, but is also similar stuff, right? Because they had elves and dwarves and crap too.
But didn't all that elves and dwarves stuff start with Lord of the Rings, or did it start sooner than that, like before Lord of the Rings?
I think it was around. I mean, well, pre-Lord of the Rings, I think there was like a fascination with King Arthur, Knights of the Round Table style stuff. You know, so yeah, there was wizards and dragons and stuff, but it wasn't in the Tolkien flavor, right? It wasn't like ancient races and, you know, the rise of man and the fall of the old world and, you know, that kind of thing. I think he's the one that defined that stuff.
Well,
Right.
yeah, it was such a huge influence on what became D&D. And that became in itself, well, there are all these derivative things that came out of what people saw in D&D, and they wanted to copy into everything else, which is why you ended up with elves and dwarves in the Shadowrun universe.
Yes. Yeah, and those fabulous
That's not a
Dungeons
bad
and
thing.
Dragons movies that we got too.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that it's the familiar magic with technology and all of that. But it's different.
Is that time? You said it's different. Something, you're gone.
I was saying it's different, but not too different.
Yeah. Well, but that's the thing too. Like, so that brings in another thing of fiction, right? Which we're going to get a dose of again from CD Projekt Red, is the cyberpunk stuff, which it's still around, but it's not as prevalent as it was in, say, the 80s and early 90s. The cyberpunk fascination, which I kind of miss it.
We have that big cyberpunk game coming out from the Witcher people, right?
That's what I was saying. Cyberpunk 2077, I think they're calling it now, because 2020 is a little too close. But originally it was Cyberpunk 2020 by Mike Pond. Darn faithful. So one thing that they were talking about in that is that it's maybe going to have some multiplayer, because they're talking about like making, you know, Night City, which is like the big city that all this happens in. It's like a mega city. They're talking about like this is going to be a big living city, and I get like GTA vibes out of that, except at night and cyberpunky. So that might be awesome, but I think we're still maybe 2 to 3 years out from seeing that game.
Yeah, which is okay.
Fine
Worth
with
the
me.
wait.
Oh yeah, it's just like, you know, just do it right. I don't care how long it takes.
There's so much to play right now that, yeah, take your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, there are a lot of space game developers that come to our channel and they're like, I want to get my game out, and I'm like, just do it right.
Yeah.
You're gonna get lost in the shuffle, and if you rush it, you're really gonna get lost in the shuffle. Take your time. But not too much time.
Hey, even if you take your time, I mean, hell, this is my own experience. Even if you take your time and you make a big launch on Steam, by the time the next summer sale comes around, you can disappear.
Yep.
You get lost in the shuffle. I mean, that's what happened with us.
Yeah, so it's like release time window, I think, is everything, because you know when not to put a game out.
Right.
Like
right.
don't put it out in March, and don't put it out in October, and you'll be fine.
And definitely not in December, because, well, you know, that's...
Well, yeah, like anywhere from October through January is a no. And then March, you know, you get it's basically like don't come out at the end of a quarter, because end of the quarter is when AAA stuff dumps, because they come in like right under the wire for the financials.
It was interesting. On Reddit the other day, someone was asking why so many gaming companies still try and model that all the big like, why is there still the summer slump? You know, why do all the big companies still put everything out around the holidays? And I don't know about you guys, but I think it's outdated, like seriously outdated at this point.
Well, yes. Now that, well, you know, we had some talk earlier today about with the price of games, because there was that article about the used game trader store, and them saying, well, they're struggling because by the time they order a game and it shows up, it might have dropped 60% in price or something, right? So just the rapid drop in pricing. And I think Actually, that is a case of the width of the market, because at some point it's like, okay, you get your initial sales at full price, and then in order to spread it and hit the rest of those people, because there's so many gamers now, so you just keep dropping the price until you at some point you'll hit a tier where somebody will buy it, and then you just keep stepping it down. And of course the Steam sale is the ability to bounce the price low and then come back up, is maybe slows that a little bit, because at least it doesn't permanently fall to bargain bin price. But if you remember about like physical games, that was the thing that happened with them too, is like 6 months, a year, whatever, you'd see them in the bargain bin, right? Because they wouldn't, but that was more due to the competition for shelf space, which with the long tail digital economy that we've got, shelf space is no longer an issue whatsoever. But I just think that it's like the market is big enough now that the rapid price drop stuff happens. Plus, there's also such a volume of games coming out that if you're going to continue to sell it, you got to cut the price.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, why don't you guys say we wrap it up with what we're playing? That sound good?
I did not hear what you said.
Oh my
Something
gosh.
about we're playing.
Yeah, let's wrap it up with talking about what games we're playing.
Well, right now I'm playing Yonder, which came out today. I have no idea what it's about, but it's awesome, and I've had it on my
What
wish
is
list
it? I saw
forever.
that you bought it. What is it?
It's an open world exploration, magical world kind of deal. No kind of sci-fi going on that I can spot. But I'm literally 5 minutes into the game right now, so I couldn't tell you. But it's like, just looking at the videos and stuff of it, it's kind of got like the crafting, farming, exploration. It's just kind of like you're in this world, do whatever you want. It's big, so it's like, okay, I'll bite.
Apparently, Pez on YouTube says it's a cross between Zelda and Stardew Valley.
Earlier today I was talking. Yeah, it is kind of Stardew Valley-ish is my hope. But it's I was talking earlier today about, like, I cannot find a game that scratches this itch that I have, where I want Skyrim, but also Stardew Valley in the same game, and I can't find that. So I don't know, maybe this. Because it's like I need exploration, but I need a little bit of struggle too. But I don't want something that's a combat heavy game.
Right.
This might be it. I don't know. I will report back.
That sounds fun. Yeah, report back, because that does sound like something I'd definitely be interested in. What about you, Spaz?
Still playing Monster Slayers, the roguelite deck building permadeath game that I don't know. It's a dungeon runner, and you got this. Depending on the class you're using, you've got different decks to play with, different cards to access. But
so is that a game where it kind of reshuffles your cards back into your hand every turn? Because it didn't seem like I was drawing from a big deck. It was just like, my guy's got 3 things, and I always have them.
So let me explain what a deck builder is. It's literally that. You build the deck as you play the game. You acquire new cards. Sometimes they're crappy cards, and you need to delete them from your deck so that you thin it down, so that every time you're shuffling through, you have, say, 12 cards instead of 30.
Okay.
The big thing about deck builders is that while you have lots of there are options for these cards that chain, and it's literally called chain. So
when you were talking there, were you watching your light? Because it went dark for me.
It did for a second, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
so just restate that sentence, because I missed the whole thing.
It's not just me, you guys.
So the rogue has.
Oh God.
The opponent and adds more.
Okay, start again.
Did it again. Go.
Damn it,
Yeah, it
damn
was like the rogue, and you were gone. So.
Oh God. Oh no.
and adds more.
This is getting ridiculous.
Yeah. Damn you, Discord.
Fucking Discord, you son of a bitch. Okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, Tokens is right. You hear kind of a springy echo when either you... It's gotta be Discord, because both you...
It has to be.
Because
Can we switch channel?
Let me switch servers. Let me switch servers. I
Yeah.
can do that. Let me switch servers. All right.
Okay, let's see if this is any better.
We should be on different servers. We're on the central server now. And
Okay.
hopefully that does it. So, Spaz, please repeat again.
All right, let's see if this works.
Yay!
The rogue uses chain cards. Every time you play a chain, it adds more damage based on the number of chains you've already played. But every time you play a chain, you draw a card. So if you have 6 of them in your deck and you happen to keep drawing them, you can keep throwing them out there one after the other.
Okay. But
Now,
do they just
all the way
return
through.
back to the deck as soon as you play it?
Yeah, what'll happen is once the cards are in play, that they stay in play until you end your turn, and then they go in your discard pile. And then your discard pile becomes your draw pile, gets shuffled into your draw pile once it's been completely filled.
Oh, all right.
But
So-
that's how most deck builders will work. It's that your whatever deck you have, that keeps getting shuffled back over and over. And so the only way to really alter things is to delete cards permanently so that they don't end up clogging up your
Okay.
deck.
So it does that set like this is how many actions you get this turn? Is like, okay, I ran out of cards, therefore I'm done.
If you run out of
Or-
cards, you're
or what?
basically done. Yeah, but there are some cards in the game that allow you to draw cards from the enemy's deck and have them temporarily used.
Oh, weird.
So, yeah, so that's actually kind of fun because it gives you more options.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
play
so-
a lot of deck builders, so yeah, that's one I've been playing. Star Realms is the other deck builder I've been playing lately.
Yeah, we need to play some
Nice.
Star Realms because I own it. I've just never
I
actually.
need to get you guys playing it. I absolutely do.
Let's do that next Thursday.
It's
Boom.
only 2-player in the digital
Oh.
version, unfortunately.
Oh.
However, we can just we can do a round robin kind of thing.
Is there a
Yeah, or I'll just play it any old time.
Is there a spectator mode?
Not that I've seen, no.
Ah.
But yeah. But then again, if you're playing through Steam, then you can use, you can invite someone to watch. So they can spectate that way. And
Yeah,
if
we
we're
should-
streaming it, well, there you go.
We should try that. We should see, get a couple of you guys to play it, like maybe you and Hunter, you and Jim, and then I'll stream.
Yeah, I got Hunter playing it. He got wrecked, but that's because I've been playing for a few years. I have all the cards aside from tournament promos, so yeah.
Hey, so speaking of card building games, have you played Thea's Awakening?
Yes, I have been playing it.
Yeah,
Great
because I
game.
just got to play on it myself. It's like I've listened to Nate rant on and on about the thing, so it's like, all right, I gotta try Thea the Awakening, and yeah, it's pretty cool. And it's kind of 4X-y, but it's also kind of a deck building thing. So yeah, and I like that. It's like you assign the people in your village to what their jobs are and stuff. Although it becomes a little bit micro. Like I just wish that I could be like, yeah, just continue to repeat this. Keep making pork chops until I tell you to not. But yeah. So what I noticed in there though in their patch notes is they've added in a co-op mode where 2 people can play together and share the settlement. So it's like co-manager or something.
We should try that at some point.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, this
So-
is the best game ever. I just discovered red shampoo.
What?
I don't know what that means. Yeah,
What?
I don't know. I looted a chest that had red shampoo in it.
What? Okay.
I don't know.
Oh, that's the game you
It's
were just
weird.
talking about. That's
Yeah.
the game.
And so that game, Hardland. You own that too,
Yeah,
right?
I did play
Yeah.
that for like 5
So
minutes. It's like, okay, this needs work.
yeah, he's continuing to update it. There was like a massive patch like a week or two ago that basically changed the game.
Oh.
But anyway, this game and Hardland share a lot of graphical stuff, like as far as like the cartooniness and just the way that like the shadows and the light plays off of things, and it has like everything looks like it's made out of velvet. You know, it's really
Oh.
cool.
Apparently, Pez in the YouTube chat says shampoo is more like hair dye. So
Oh, well, there you go.
it's kind of like shampoo made out of red Kool-Aid, I guess. I don't know if you ever tried to dye your hair with red Kool-Aid, but
Are you like a punk rocker from way back, Brian? Is that
was,
is that what I'm getting
I
here?
was a grunger. I was a grungy guy. So I did try and use Kool-Aid to dye my shoulder longer than shoulder length hair once.
So you listen to Black Flag and get all angry and then
I
like Kool-Aid your hair.
I loved Black Flag back in the day. I was actually in a college radio station. I played them all the time. Them and Letters to Cleo and
Oh, cool. Have you ever been to see Rollins?
no, I've seen
him live.
footage. I've seen footage, but I've never actually seen him live. Sadly,
Yeah,
apparently he's amazing. That's what I've heard. I've heard nothing but good
it was
things.
pretty amazing. The thing that I found shocking is that he generates so much saliva while he's screaming into the mic that he actually like sucks it out of the mic and spits it out.
Oh,
I was not prepared to see. It's like, man, that man is juicy. Yeah. Yeah, it was really weird. There has to be a video somewhere of him doing it because it was just like, what? But yeah. But anyway.
Well, just to wrap up, I've been playing because I need something relaxing of late. So much Lord of the Rings Online because it's such a relaxing game. You just run around this beautiful Middle Earth, killing bears and goblins and men as an elf or a minstrel or a wizard. And it's just so great. Because it's not really that demanding a game. You know, like I've been playing a lot of Logistical, that puzzle game, which I really love. But it's like, I don't want to plan anything right now. I just want to run around and do shit, because that's all I have in my brain right now. So it's just like the perfect Band-Aid for me right now. for getting through this stressful time.
Hey, if you look in the stream chat, I posted a screenshot from this game that I'm playing. So I got my little sprite buddy that's following me around, but it disturbingly looks like he's got truck nuts on his back.
Oh, those are his bags of holding. Clearly.
Okay. But I'm just looking at this guy and it's like he does like a little shimmy while he's floating in the air, so it just looks like truck nuts dangling.
I like big nuts, and I cannot lie. Other brothers can't deny.
Oh my.
Okay, folks, we're gonna wrap it up. Please join us on Thursday when we return, if the fucking internet is working, to Borderlands 2. I'm really looking forward to that.
That should be fun.
We had a great time last time, so I'm really looking forward to diving back into that. Hopefully Hunter can join us, because he was part of the... It was you, it was Spaz, it was me, it was, I think, Medic, and Hunter, I think, was last time. So
yeah, Teeth was there for part of it. Yeah.
Right. But
yeah, I'm down for it this time too.
Oh, good.
I've got a spot, so however it works out.
Oh yeah.
I keep wanting to play Borderlands again, and also Shadow Warrior 2, which is very Borderlandsy. Also scratches that itch, but yeah.
Really does.
The only thing about Borderlands that irritates me, and this is a problem in Shadow Warrior more so, I think, is just like it's one of those like piles of loot games.
Yeah.
But there's so much shit. It's
Shadow
just like,
Warrior is
can you
worse
please
with
only
it,
pick up the things that are better than what I have?
Yeah, Shadow Warriors is way worse with it, I think, because it's not just guns and shit you're getting. It's all these like little fucking trinkets that add +1 to this and +3 to that, but it only goes on that type of gun. It's like, oh god, and there's no like really good way to sort any of it. That's one of the reasons I stopped playing. What was that? Pixel Private?
Yeah.
Pixel
Privateers.
That
Yeah,
one, yes.
Same thing.
Yeah, so much stupid loot. It's like just like that's probably one of the greatest things that Diablo 3 does is like you get a lot of loot, but a lot of it you can actually use.
Yeah.
And it's really great, a lot of it. So that's
in
fantastic.
Pixel Privateers, you just like automatically melt down everything that you don't.
You can, yeah. I mean, that's an option. It's just that when you're in the mission and you're getting it, it's just so much.
Right, because then it's like inventory's full. So
exactly.
Well, does it auto loot everything? You don't have a choice, or can you just be like, I'm gonna pick that thing up?
You have to click on it to pick it up.
Okay, but by our nature, we're like human hoovers, right?
Grab everything.
Like,
yeah. Oh, that one thing might be awesome. We got to get that one thing over there. We got to get that one thing. I just added Shadow Warrior 2 to the hat, so maybe we'll return to that at some point.
You know what would be awesome that I don't think exists is a Darkest Dungeon type game with like basically the dungeon crawl, but also the psychological horror effects and stuff in space. Right? Just make Darkest Dungeon in space, because if you're like some space pirates and you're constantly going on like derelict ships and stuff,
right?
It's like you might see some kind of mind-bending shit, right? Because aliens and bad things.
Starcrawlers could have been that, but I don't think they wanted to add that into
Starcrawlers 2 Starcrawlers is a lot more lighthearted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So what do you think of that game? Because I haven't played it to the point where I have a party. I'm just a single dude running around.
Oh, it's so good.
It's really
full
great.
Disclosure, I kickstarted it, but yeah, love it.
Yeah.
So do you get to the point where you have like a Bard's Tale kind of party running around, or what?
You have you can take a party of up to 4 in with you.
Okay. So is that like the 4 that you got, or do you keep people at the tavern?
No, you actually can have other people in your group. You just can't take them all with you.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So you can change around your group for each individual mission, and the missions are fun and randomized enough that they're really enjoyable.
So the whole game, though, it's always dungeon crawl kind of thing, right? It's very much like Bard's Tale or Crusaders of the Dark Savant. Remember that?
Yeah.
Like
that and
actually I went back to Eye of the Beholder as my reference for what it's like. Except that you can one thing that you can do is while you're exploring, you can use the mouse to look around and find things like cred sticks that are in hidden places, or find secrets in walls because you happen to manipulate this particular thing.
Yeah, that's one thing that I noticed even in the little bit that I've played it, is that you can you don't have to look in cardinal directions. It's like you can grab the mouse and look around like it's an FPS kind of thing, but movement's always on the grid.
Sorry.
Well, it's interesting. It's like, okay, so you're restricted to that gridded movement, but they give you the freedom to look around. And I'm a little bit shocked actually that they didn't give you like a free walk mode where you think you're just walking around like it's an FPS, but it's actually keeping track of which grid square you're in, kind of thing. Right. So it's still gridded movement, but it's not like
the reason they do that is because it's turn based. So when you move, the enemies also get a turn to move.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Another similar game, but in fantasy, but they're very similar to Starcrawlers, is Fall of the Dungeon Guardians, which is also really, really good. If you can't wait for Grimoire to finally come out, because what's his name can't get his shit together, Cleve Blakemore.
Oh my god! Like by 2020.
No, it's on Steam right now. It was supposed to come out last week, and it got delayed, shockingly.
Dude, when was that game supposed to come out? 10 years ago?
1990 something, 2004 something like that. I don't remember.
Okay, all I remember is like early days of 2:45. Cleve
Yeah.
was on there
Oh yeah,
talking
no,
about
he
this game.
he goes back to the
Any
Usenet days.
minute now it will be.
No, he
Yeah.
goes back to the Usenet days. That guy. So yeah, he's a delight. So if you look at,
So is he just gonna rush this out now? It's on.
the funniest thing
It's
about
like,
it,
when
the funniest
he puts
thing,
it out, that's my review. It's like, this feels rushed.
no, seriously, the funniest thing is that like he's on RPG Codex, which is a horrible place, by the way. Don't go there. But if you want to wade into that fountain of human sewage, go to RPG Codex, and he's like talking like, oh, these quests still aren't finished yet. I'm trying to finish them up. Like he's still talking like all this shit still needs to be done, but he's about to release it. It's so confusing. We're really off tangent now, folks. Anyway, Thursday is Borderlands 2. Next week on the show, we're going to have an actual guest coming on to talk about their fast-playing 4X game called Space Tyrant, which is
just on my wish list about forever.
Yeah, no, don't worry. I'm gonna get you a copy. All right,
Sweet. Do you have it yet? Have you played it?
Yeah, I did, and it's pretty solid so far. I've only played like one or two tutorial missions, but it's got a really good like kind of Space Word Ho fast 4X type thing. It's like that.
Well,
it feels like
just
that.
looking at like the art style and the screenshots, and it made me a little tingly. So
the art style is
get on the wish list.
Great. It is so fun. So that's what we have.
To that one.
Yeah, so that's what we have on the show next week. That's gonna be it for this episode, folks. I want to thank guys. Thank you for joining us. As always, hopefully we'll have Hunter back either Thursday or next week. Hopefully his move is going well. It sounds super stressful. Like, how does he not have air conditioning right now? That sounds terrible. Isn't it like a billion? Isn't it like 1,000,000,000% humidity where you guys live right now?
It's pretty much that. Yeah, like running from the front door to the car, my hair kind of catches on fire.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Really hot.
I don't miss that. I don't miss that at all. I'll be honest. We went above like 70% humidity here.